Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Fall In Podcast. We've been gone for quite a bit of time. I do believe it's been about 4 months. My name is Brian Britt. Of course, as you can see up in the top left, actually, we've kind of upgraded here this time. We got video. How about it? You can see my pretty face. You can see Big Al, Alfonso Nixon's pretty face up there in the top left. We do have some other people here as well. Brian McDaniel, he's up in the top right. Clint Underwood, of course, he's in the bottom right. Definitely excited to have. We're in the 21st century now. We got video capability. How about it, Big Al? I want to start with you. How are you doing? Been a lot time since we've last talked.
Yeah, dude, doing great, Brian. Excited to be here because we started this little conquest a while back, and like you said, it's been 4 months since we talked, and so much has transpired since then. So really, just wanted to kind of get the group together and just kind of give a little bit of an update about what we're doing, what we've done, and what we're going to do in the future.
Yeah, definitely sounds like a great idea for sure. And I know you guys got some exciting stuff to talk about with the Fall In app. It's really seems like it's picking up quite a bit, and all three of you have kind of been in a lot of ways quarterbacking this whole thing, and each of you have your own roles. We kind of talked about a little bit of that before I hit the record button. Clint actually was going into a lot of that. Clint, did you want to maybe continue or kind of restart, if you will, on what you were saying about each of you's individual roles and how you have made all of this happen?
Yeah, I think it'd be good to let everybody talk about themselves a little bit. I'll introduce myself.
Okay.
Brian and Al are longtime compatriots and known each other for years and have been planning this out for quite some time. They brought me on board recently within the last year to kind of to help them out where I can. And my role in it is just forming up some of the business aspects, if you were, go to market strategies, strategic partnerships, any program management that needs to be done with affiliates that we're supporting or veterans that we're supporting. We're actively engaged in a couple fundraising campaigns to help out some veteran causes that are local to the area here in Kentucky and Tennessee. And I kind of champion those and get those organized and ready to execute while Al and Brian really backfill the vision and the technical build of the platform and what it's becoming in the future.
Now I hear vision, and I think this is one where we got to kick it over to Big Al, because I know Big Al. We've talked about the Fall In kind of vision before, but now it's all kind of coming together. Remind everybody, what is the vision for this app, and how does it help veterans around the United States?
Yeah, well, Fall In itself is the app is developed for veterans by veterans, and it's a central location that veterans can go and find out the information that's pertinent to what is affecting them, whether it be through the VA or healthcare, and also just things that are happening in the local community. Because the one thing about veteran is we do have a very strong bond with each other, but we've never had an opportunity to be we've never had this. So we were all passionate about building something for veterans, and we're just excited to see where this thing goes. And Brian, the other Brian McDaniel, he's kind of he's the brainchild behind it. The ideas kind of came, but he's the guy that's kind of connecting the dots behind the scenes. So from where we were started to where we're at, it's like that's a big that's a big huge leap in itself, and then I can only imagine where we're going to go with this, because we're starting to get traction. We're getting more and more people into the app, and it's starting to spread, Brian, and it's taking off.
Yeah, and it does sound like a lot of stuff's going right. And kicking it over to you, Brian McDaniel's, McDaniel. I've heard that that S on the end does get you a little upset. But I just curious. I mean, you're the kind of the brains behind everything, like building all of it. What does this app actually do, and how does it help veterans?
Yeah, great question. Um, Clint kind of underplayed his role, and Al kind of underplayed their roles, right? So Clint is our first CEO of the company, right? A Fall In. and Fall In is meant to be pure veteran, owned, ran, uh, governed. Um, we provide security through end-to-end encryptions. So we provide a platform where, there's a saying out there where like, hey, how do you cure all the homeless veterans, right? And the real answer is you can't, right? You can't,
Hmm.
because homeless veterans are homeless for a reason, right? They don't fit in with society, right? They don't fit in with the norm. So for years, Al and I have watched the social media platforms take advantage of veterans, and the ads that come in, and some of the resources that are out there. I think now to take advantage of a lot of veterans in their ignorance of not knowing how to maybe apply for benefits, or maybe contact the VA for educational benefits, or a house or a home or something like that. So really, Fall In was meant and designed to pull in all our veterans united
Mm.
under one umbrella, so that we can share our knowledge with each other. So much of the military is spread around, how do I figure out where I need to go, and my first sergeant helped me here, my commander helped me here, and my sergeant helped me here. With Fall In, we want that to be the help, right? So young soldiers, along with old soldiers, right, that are getting in the platform and interacting, our hope and our goal is that they begin to communicate in there, which I think the ultimate goal of what Al's vision is to defeat the suicide rate that we currently
Mm.
have with veterans.
That's definitely an awesome goal for sure. And so, from what it sounds like? It sounds like does have a social media aspect about it as well. And you were talking about the people being taken advantage of, veterans being taken advantage of. Is there like scams that targeting veterans specifically on Facebook and other
Absolutely,
social medias?
absolutely.
Wow,
Al can give you a couple of examples of
never heard
how
of that.
veterans
That's
are
crazy.
currently today. It's happening.
Yeah, so currently there are a lot of agencies, law firms, and et cetera, that offer the veterans to say, "Hey, we'll help get your disability for you. You're just going to have to pay, a certain percentage of that." Well, the bottom line is the veterans shouldn't have to pay any percentage of their disabilities because it is a disability. So
Hmm.
we want to shed light on those guys, the shady characters that are out there, anybody that's taking advantage of veterans. That's one of our biggest things. And like Brian really hit on, the underlying part of this is when we all get connected and we got eyes on teddy bears, that's our best shot at actually at attacking the veteran suicide uh, epidemic that's occurring.
Now, what is the program like with the background of what kind of pathways are there for veterans that are maybe feeling that way? Are there already anything in place with the program that you've already have?
Well, the first thing we're taking advantage of is messaging, right? So uh, messaging gets spread across the U.S. and it's kind of hit or miss. It depends on what platform you're in, whether you see the truth or whether you see, like all of us do when we get in Facebook or something like that, we see the multitude of ads. Uh, when you go in there, it kind of looks kind of sketchy, and you're like, I don't know if I want to build something or buy something from here or share my information in here. So I think right now what we're doing is exploring all E benefits for each soldier and each veteran, and then like we have personas in the application, for example, right? So the guy will be in the first sergeant in the application. He's putting the word out, right? He's putting the word out when VA comes out with a new benefit, or maybe VA comes out with a new claim, and maybe you need to file something. So our intention is drive all those messages into the app so that everybody can take advantage of, as well as the businesses that are doing good things for veterans.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I know about is I don't know specifically, but I know that's one thing that Big Al really wanted to do whenever he shared the vision with me was that to get all these businesses together that are all with one goal of helping veterans. So so it's interesting to hear the other aspects of this, and definitely anything else you want to talk about at all. I mean, the floor is yours. I mean, what else ever is important to you? I mean, it sounds like you guys have some awesome strategies and you big brained, too big for me, that's for sure.
Well,
Well,
at least one of us. I will mention that we highlighted on businesses and bringing affiliates in, and there's two aspects of the platform to really bring to help the veteran. One is there's a lot of business, like Brian alluded to, there's a lot of businesses and people out there that are waiting in the shadows to take advantage of veterans that don't know how to leverage their services and benefits, and they do that. Like Al mentioned, these lawyers who are helping veterans get their benefits. These veterans don't know when they sign on with these companies that they're going to have to pay a percentage of their benefits to these lawyers in perpetuity,
Yeah.
right? And so they get their check in their bank, and their total from the government comes in. They go, oh, look, here's my increase. They don't see the traffic of funds from the government to that firm that they contracted with to put that in place. It's almost invisible unless the veteran, which an E5, E4 in the Army, goes in and reads the fine print of this very litigious document, right? That they craft that way on purpose. So, and in addition to that, there's a lot of businesses out there that say we support the troops. Well, what we want to do is we want to codify that. We want to get it in a contract. We want to bring them into a social platform in a community where they're welcome to provide their services and their benefits. But the soldiers have an opportunity to reflect back on that value and tell us in the data whether they're receiving the value that they've been promised. And if veterans say that they're not, and they're not getting benefit out of it, and they're not getting the help they want, we see that, and we can either advise that service to change or find a service that can do better for the veterans out there. And then the second thing I'll say about the business aspect of it is Brian is in no short order a logistics genius. I mean, I hate to give him a compliment like that, but it's true. I mean, he, for his entire military career, has moved the fastest, most agile special operations aviation regiment anywhere in the world with all their parts and pieces and kept their aircraft in the air without fail, plus or minus 30 seconds, right? Like that was his job. Now, he's designed as a platform for the veterans where those logistics solutions can be made available for their business model, and we can scale those appropriately, but through Brian's system and frankly, his expertise. And so we're going to help bring services to veterans that are valuable and then help them scale their businesses to where they don't have
Yeah.
to carry the burden of all the administration.
That's really awesome to hear, because I mean that means like a veteran that wants to start their own business or has some type of budding business, you can help them. Man, that sounds like that could really be a boon for anybody,
And
any
that
veteran.
is,
You know.
and that's the key. It's veterans helping veterans because we all have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And so from inception, this idea is, you know, we have to help each other
Hmm.
because no one's smarter than us. No one's smarter than all of us. You know, if I were doing this in a vacuum, it would have never got done. If Brian were doing this in a vacuum, it would have never got done. If Clint were doing this by himself, it would have never got done. And so the more veterans we get involved in this effort, the more we can actually get done.
Yeah, you
yeah,
guys have definitely become a force in a lot of ways, a growing force. You know, more sticks together, harder to break, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it benefits us all. In the military, the one thing that you're taught is being on a team, right, is the most powerful thing that you can do. And when you're on that team, right, you're not worried about what people can't do. You're worried about what their strengths are.
Hmm.
So when I lean on Al, it's for a strength that the military taught me. I know where Al's strengths are, and I lean on him for that because it actually benefits me, right? Because I have weaknesses in areas that Al does and Clint does, right? So they complement me, and that's the way every veteran feels, out there today. Is that if they could just reunite or they could get a purpose back in their life, they're sitting there just don't feel like you have a cause. I mean, we all go through it, right? We all go through that standpoint where we're just like, I'm tired of working at, said corporation. All I'm doing is making them money. That at the end of the day does not satisfy true veterans, right? They struggle with finding value in what they do.
Yeah, no, I can
Because
see that.
the big thing is Brian and Clint, we all want to be a part of the team, and so many veterans when they leave or separate the service, or even the guys that are in, you just want to be a part of something bigger, and that's what fall in is. And the literal word of fall in, we talked about that is it means to assume one's place in the formation. So that means, man, figure out what your strengths are and bring them to the group because it'll make us all stronger. And that's the thing because we're stronger together, man, and we're not going anywhere. So this is our commitment to each other that we're going to bring all veterans in together so that we can help each other be stronger together.
Yeah, definitely a great idea. Because I know a lot of veterans when they get out of the military. I think me and you talked about this as well, Big Al. They just don't know where they fit in, and just I don't know. Like it just seems like everybody's just ones and zeros out here in civilian life. I mean, I myself have been a civilian my whole life, so I don't know. I mean, I guess I can somewhat empathize, but then again, I guess maybe I can't. I mean, but can you speak to that? Did you guys feel that way at all? That you needed that, and you're trying to fulfill maybe that need that you didn't have whenever you got out?
I struggle every day with it. Every day.
Yeah,
Right.
and
It's a
I'll
constant battle.
yeah, I'll add to absolutely to feel understood, to have you stand shoulder and shoulder with your brother and be in combat brings a value and quality to your life that you can't find anywhere else. I mean, it is the glory of battle that you feel, and for centuries of generations of warfare, men have understood that it brings a glory and relationship in your closeness in your life that you can't find anywhere else. I want to mention recently we got a bunch of warriors together at Camp Brown Bear in Kentucky, where Navy SEALs and Night Stalkers came together to commune for a weekend, and we sat over the fire and just collected our thoughts, relaxed, and listened to the crackle of some wood burn. And everybody there was just like, man, it just feels comfortable. This is something special that we brought together. And the owner of the camp said it was his first all special operations retreat. And he just said it felt right. And we all just felt understood for a weekend. And we left there just feeling recharged, if you will. So, whatever you need from Fall In, whether it's just a weekend, you come in, you touch base with your friends, you're doing buddy checks, you're a mentor, you're a leader, you need some services, or you actually come in the platform and establish a home, and you establish a tribe, you establish your business. Like, we want to be there for them in whatever capacity they need.
Yeah, sounds like it's definitely outside of just the online thing as well. Like you want to have it to where you physically get together and go out on outings, but it also be that online network. And I think that's the thing. It's like to have you could be looking on the app, and you might be feeling maybe some emotions or something like that that you need to get out to a brother in arms, and you could find someone near you that you could talk to.
And and I'm glad you said that because that's the key. Because everybody has family reunions, but the one thing in the military, we are a family of sorts. In no matter if your career was 1 year, 4 years, or 44 years, you've developed a family in that journey. So we want to be able to give a place where you can actually have that true family reunion, whether it was your basic training class of 64 or your OCS class of 24, we want to be able to bring you guys all together in one platform.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because I think we've even talked about this before, where it would be like different, almost like a different groups that you can organize. If you were that you identify with a certain group, like the 101st Airborne or something like that. I'm not very well versed, so I don't.
No,
That
you're
was the
right on.
first thing that came to mind. But yeah, I mean that's great. I think that's really really useful. It allows them to reconnect, almost like a reunion. You can reconnect with a guy that he might be living in California, you live in South Carolina, it's impossible to reconnect with him, but that's a way that, hey, I remember you.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and there's never been a better time. There's never been the more perfect time than now, Brian, because just what you said, we got brothers that are in California, we got brothers that are in Colorado, and now truly more than ever, we need each other. And, the world is in such flux, but the one thing that's going to kind of keep all of our heads together and put our heads together and figure out a way through this is if we can all get connected in the same place.
Yeah. Let me add something really quick to support an aspect of the platform and veterans getting together. And that's our vulnerabilities. And if we don't have good operational security and situational awareness, then our vulnerabilities are very apparent to people out there who are looking to take advantage of not only a single veteran, but national security in the sense of what are we talking about? Where are we going? What are we doing? What are our jobs? So it's a very well known fact that there are nation state actors out there. We all know who they probably are that are actively collecting data from social media platforms like the big ones, FB, Insta, whatever, and they actually buy that data. It is for sale. Make no mistake. And they buy that data and they collect it and they build intelligence profiles on that to know what our veterans are doing, what their strong suits are, where they live, and where they're reporting to duty. Now, that is very dangerous. And
Disturbing.
Yeah.
Very
disturbing.
I think that's
That is a
disturbing for
national-
civilians as well. I mean,
Yeah, that is a national security issue. Now, not only that, but personnel data from the Pentagon has also been hacked. So all three of us you're talking to here have been members of special operations units that have done tier 1 operations where nobody is supposed to know what we go and do. Information in the Pentagon has been hacked, and people know that. They should not know that about us three, right? And that's kind of threatening to us. So what one of Brian's brainchild really and a stroke of genius is to protect that data. Brian and I and Al have all formed the values around this product that we will not sell, we will not distribute, and we will protect your data at all costs. It goes nowhere. The messages you send from one person to the next are encrypted on your device and they're not opened until they hit the other person's device, and anybody in between never sees it, never can see it, and we don't do anything with that data. We don't market it, we don't sell it. That's not our game. We're here to protect the veteran. And that's a significant difference between what we are and what everybody else is out there. And frankly, Brian, people are hearing this and seeing it and reading articles about what we're doing and mass migrating from other social media platforms to come to the security of Fall-In. But it's really essential that we are able to protect these veterans in that regard.
no, that's definitely a huge deal for sure. And I know, because I think a lot of times, veterans, I would say they worry about their security and privacy more than the average civilian because they know how vulnerable, how important that information is. Because I know most of us civilians, speaking for myself, we sign away off on anything, But I can understand why you guys would want to, maybe protect that a little bit, and I could see why that would be a major selling point, and it's not even just a selling point, but also because you care and you have that same feeling, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's one thing I want to point out here is because it may lean this way sometimes, but we have to remind ourselves, right? Two things. Number one, we're a bunch of Army guys. Clint was in the Navy. This platform is for every branch of service, and we actually define the word veteran a little bit more than what people do associating with the military, right? So, to me, a veteran is anybody that has served a purpose where they put their life in front of their citizens, right? Of course, that meets the military term, but it also means ambulatory services, police, firemen, every day that are out there putting their lives on the line for civilians. So we're welcoming all those people. So we're talking about the Coast Guard, the National Guard, the Reserves, the Marines. Come one, come all.
First responders,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
firefighters. I mean, you can even see Brian's wearing the signature red firefighter hat. But yeah, so it's for all of those that serve. Period. It's a servant's platform.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's definitely interesting. That's something I did not know. I thought it was just strictly for military veterans. So yeah, I love that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of police officers would really, and first responders would really love to have something like that to where they can kind of feel like they belong. And I bet they
Well,
even would. That probably
not
makes them
only-
feel warm. Yeah, you included us.
I mean, can you imagine a police officer announcing on any social media platform that they're a police officer?
Yeah. Well, nowadays,
Yeah,
definitely,
I don't-
especially the last few years.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, not
So-
only the sense of belonging, Brian, that they would feel in a community that understood their service, their heightened level of stress while out there working every day, the constant training and certifications they have to maintain, but the security
Hmm.
of being able to be who you are in a community where you know you're protected and your data's not going anywhere. And
Yeah.
it's okay to be, like Brian said, a police officer and not worried about somebody getting that information. Because make no mistake, police officers in our society today are targeted, right? We see it happening, not only in the virtual world, in the physical world, where these guys are being subjected to physical bodily harm, sometimes death, because they're such in a public way. And their
And
private moments with their community should be protected.
and the reality is, in the world that we live in, man, it's such a state of flux that we're in. It's just a matter of time before veterans that are putting themselves out there, in these veteran groups that are unsecured, are going to be targeted as well. So you really, this is a safe space if there
Yeah.
ever were a safe space.
Yeah.
Yeah, well said.
Definitely interesting for sure to hear. Love that you guys were filling those needs, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be definitely flocking or jumping at the chance to get on this and see exactly where it could go. I mean, and also I think it could be useful for an emergency situation as well. I mean, like being kind of a second. I don't know. Am I wrong? I mean, it sounds like it could be something that you could use in an emergency.
You're spot on. You're spot on. So I won't get too far into it, right? But I'll just make a statement like this. We live in a country with a lack of leadership, period, and we have the most experienced leaders in the world that are going to assemble and fall in,
Hmm.
and that's one of the purposes, because we need to remain in compliance with the Constitution, right? Which is always keep our government at arm's length, right?
Yeah.
So that's an obligation that we have to perform. One day, hopefully, we'll have 2 to 3 million members, and we can become the voice, right? And so we can take these messages to DC, and we can take the benefits that are working and promote them and uplift them. That's really the purpose of it, right? It's uplifting in a way like, if I'm a veteran and I step out of the house today and I go to fall in and I'm like, hey, I want to go buy X thing from a disabled veteran. And you simply do a search on your app and it's within 4 miles of you and you drive to that veteran's place. Now, don't get me wrong. We have the Amazon Touch in there, right? So if 50 veterans go in there and they do a disservice to them, that rating is going to show, right?
Mm.
And just like Amazon does, we require those folks to meet a satisfaction performance rating contractually. So if I go and I have a company that says, "Hey, we're doing great things for veterans," okay, let's see how great
Yeah.
you
Let's see
are.
what you're doing.
'Cause
I
we're
was
going to put
kinda-
you on public notice.
It kind of leads me to a question that just popped in my mind about people how do you protect against people like stolen valor pretending to be veterans?
Well,
Here's
Everybody has to be vetted.
I'll let Clint answer this one.
This is pretty simple. If you enter a room full of Navy frogmen and you claim to be a frogman, we're going to know within about 10 seconds
Yeah.
whether or not it's factual or not. We recognize a fraud within 3 words of them explaining who and what they are. And, those notifications can be made, and we can reach out and do a little bit of research, investigate, ask a couple questions to make sure they're not trying to steal anybody's valor.
And that's the beautiful thing about what we've created. It's a veteran environment for veterans. So anybody that's coming in, whether they're what do they call that word where people trolling? Yeah, we'll find out who you are real quick.
Yeah, I just was curious, like how you guys would, like if even at sign up, do you have require information or anything?
Yeah, so just like Twitter has their Bluebird, or I don't know if they're still using it or whatever. Really, the question is how do we verify people?
Mm-hmm.
First off, we love family members.
Yeah.
First off, we love family members. So this is not isolated to veterans. We want this to be where, like, hey, kid joins boot camp, right? And his mom and dad join in to fall in, and they can watch every day what's happening. And hey, I'm doing this training or I'm doing that training. That's eventually where we want to go, right? Where we're showing family members and loved ones, and especially Gold Star family members, that's something that we have to uplift from the very beginning. I don't know. Are you familiar with Gold Star families?
Not particularly, to be honest with you.
Okay, so if you have a soldier that gets killed in action, then of course the remaining family member, typically a unit. We just had one recently. We had some soldiers that were killed, and typically the owning unit of that will go and take over the process of going and recovering those folks and bringing them home, meaning that we do that as a full service, right? So the way that it goes right is the notification goes out to the family, of course, and then after that, when the bodies are being recovered and sent back to America, right, we will form up veterans. We'll form up all kinds of things, whether it's 1,000 motorcyclists that are sitting there waiting at the airport, waiting for the soldier to get in the vehicle and escorting it to wherever it needs to go, police, whatever it may be, all the way to the home, to where the unit or organization will send representatives out to sit with the family members, maybe escort them, drive the vehicle, drive family members, because typically something like that, you have large families that gather together. So we want to make that purpose. So one of the purposes of Fall In is to kind of latch on to that and kind of formalize that and let people know. For example, there are veterans that die every day in America that have absolutely nobody to claim them, right?
Yeah.
So who better to claim them than other veterans, right? Hey, you got a funeral down in Huntsville, Alabama. Go visit. Here's the procession. This is when it's going to be, and it allows us to gather.
That's heartbreaking, though. I mean, a lot of that's probably. I mean, I hate to maybe assume, but a lot of times, I guess when no one's being claimed, it's probably because of maybe mental illness and stuff like that have driven them away from their family.
Absolutely.
And to add to Brian's remarks and kind of regress just a little bit, we've got, Brian and I have some cybersecurity background. And,
no, I don't. I'm just playing.
So when individuals come into the platform, every person that comes in and registers, we validate their data and we scrub them against the database to include what endpoint they're using, what IP address they're logging in from, what URL they're using to claim as their address, what domain they're on. And then we run that information against the national database that has any incident of compromise that's ever been reported to the NDS, CIA, Department of Homeland Security. They compile that, and we run this individual's information against that. And if it flags any malicious activity on that IP address, on their email, where they're logging in from, we ban them temporarily from the product. We look into, where are they coming from? Who is it? We make sure they're validated. If they answer all of our questions, of course, we let them in. We give them counseling on the sensitivities around their endpoint. They may not even know that their endpoint has been compromised and that it's being used by a malicious actor to host activity, because that happens also.
Hmm.
So we inform them of all of that and let them know what's going on. We validate their credentials, and then we let them into our platform. But if they can't validate who they are, where they are, and what they're doing, their military service or affiliation with a military service member, then we just let them go find another platform to
Okay.
participate in.
That's definitely, I'd say, a very good way to probably keep out the people, and it also makes someone aware that hey, someone's trying to steal your identity. Like, um, but yeah,
Absolutely.
I thought like you going back to I know at the beginning because I think we're running short a little bit on time here, but at the beginning we talked about your main goal was to kind of reduce the amount of suicides from veterans. Now, what exactly do you think that's going to look like? What do you think you're gonna like? Is it gonna have people that are just on standby that people can volunteer to be on standby to talk to people? Like,
Yeah, that's a great question, Brian. And the one thing that's going to take is involvement. So our plan is to get veterans involved.
mm-hmm,
That's the whole thing behind Fall In. And we found that if you get people active and involved in something where they have to be accountable and they're part of a team, then that's going to make them, feel more responsible and less likely to let those team members down. So when the veterans get out and they don't have to answer them, that's a big loss. So that's how it looks. It looks like all hands on deck. It looks like everybody's involved in something. We're getting guys said, "Hey, what are you doing?" No, come over here, do something. We don't care. Be seen, be heard. Eyes on teddy bears. Leaders at all levels. You know, you're not done yet. We still have one more mission to do. That's how that looks.
okay,
Yeah. And I'll add that that's very well spoken, Al. If I were to add anything, nothing straightens the spine of an NCO like stepping into the sergeant major's office. When you're associated with the men that were holding you accountable for your military career or your time, and you get back in the room with them, you want to be the best version of yourself. And if you have problems, there's people there that understand you. And sometimes the problems are as simple as I need a job, I need help
mm,
with my business, I need a community that can hear me and direct me to the right resources. Some people's problems are dominoes that if you take one domino out and provide them with one solution, they go on a completely different path. Whereas they don't end up homeless, they actually end up being a contributing member to something that's happening in the community. So we are like, we will have people in there
wow.
that are ready for other veterans to step up and say, "Hey, I'm here to help."
That's just amazing. I mean, that's crazy because you always, there's always that domino that knocks someone down into the gutter, but there also could be that helping hand that leads them out of the gutter as well. So I love how, that one
Yeah.
thing could solve that problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Al is so you mentioned earlier, me and Al have known each other for a little while. So we've known each other going on 31 years now, right? And so I can tell you one thing about me and Al is like over the years I know when Al's having struggles. I just know it. We have a routine where we communicate, and I just know when I don't hear from him, or maybe when I talk to him, his mood or something like that. You know, that's kind of the thing that we have to look for here. So we're talking about battle buddies, right? Building battle buddies inside the application. So like if I say my team is Clinton now, right? And there's three of us on it, and we're going to be responsible for checking in on each other. And Clint doesn't show up for 7 days in a row, then the system should be able to send a push notification and say, Clint, what are you doing? Where are you at? No
Yeah.
response. Now we start calling on him. Now we start checking in on him, getting on the cell phone. What are you doing, man? What's going on? Oh, I got my head up my butt. We all get to that place. Been there many, many times. Al's pulled me out of it many, many times. Now we need to automate that to where we're discovering those folks out there on the app that, because, and this is unfortunate, but the suicide rate is so important that pretty soon we will have a soldier or a veteran or somebody in the app that's a member that will pass away from suicide.
Yeah.
And
and
we
none
need
of
to be
us wanna
prepared
do
for
that.
that. Right.
But that's we don't want that. We don't want
No, not at
anybody to
all.
pass on our watch, and that's the pledge. That's the calling that we're giving to everybody that comes in to fall in. Is not on our watch.
Love that. That's
If
great.
they're not in here, get them in here, and if they're in here, keep them in here.
So like
Yeah.
if so you're saying if someone like you, let's say you have a little group, accountability group, battle buddies, and if one person doesn't message back or doesn't message you in quite a while, it might remind them or you, hey, you haven't talked to this person in a while. Maybe you should reach out to them. You know, just might just
Absolutely.
a little
Yeah,
And,
automation. I love that. That's a great idea.
and the team
Brian,
will
you
be able to
got that
control it.
situation.
Go ahead, Al.
I was just saying, Brian, you've got that situation as a civilian. There's people that are in your contacts,
Hmm.
that you haven't talked to. And a lot of times we think, well, it works both ways. Well, in our situation, man, we don't have that kind of time and we don't have those resources. Every veteran that takes his own life or her own life is a valuable resource that we will lose, that we will never get back. So that's why it's our most precious commodity, and that's why we're committed to that at Fall In. We're committed to putting eyes on teddy bears, man. We want to put our arms around everybody.
Yeah, definitely. I think I love the ideas you guys have for sure. I can't wait to see where it goes. Any last thoughts, maybe from each of you? Al?
No, hey,
Anybody?
I'll start, but I want these guys to conclude. I just want to say, while we got a camera in our face, hey, www.fall-in.veteran.com. Come check out the app, reach out. Feel free to reach out to us and become a member of the community. We can help you or direct you to where you need to be, but we look forward to seeing you on Fall In Veteran. Al?
www.fallinveteran.com. I mean, come here. No one's smarter than all of us. We need everybody, all hands on deck. I mean, this is an effort that we all have to be involved in. Brian.
Yeah. So, like they said, we're available also in both app stores, right? So, app and Android. Fall In Veteran. Just type in Fall In Veteran. Do a search. We also have a store that we're coming out here with pretty soon. And the objective of the store is to sell like-minded veteran material. Say, I belong to a unit and I want to go buy a unit hat or I want to buy a t-shirt or something like that. So we'll all be off in our store up on, I think, January 23rd to start for selling military swag.
Yeah, that's
you lost me
exactly
at swag. You
14
lost me there.
days, 3 hours, 3 minutes, and 54 seconds.
That's great. Yeah, definitely. Can't wait to see. Definitely the swag going to be coming available. Hopefully, we can do this this more often. I know, like I said before at the beginning of the podcast, we haven't done a video in 4 months. Hopefully, that's getting ready to change. Hopefully, we're going to have updates every single week. We can maybe even have some of the guests, some guests on here that are involved in, some of the businesses and things like that are making Fall In
Yeah.
even more populated. I'd love that. Any news that maybe some possibilities we might have some people on?
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. We've got a guest list that we're working on, and we're going to start bringing those guys in so we can just get to where we can post with a certain frequency. But just a lot of things going on right now. Just want people to get into the app, check it out, and check back and get up to date. And we're going to start getting these podcasts out with a lot more frequency here pretty soon.
And Brian, Fall In appreciates your time and what you did for us here today. We really appreciate you. We follow your races. I listen to you call races with Al. That's always exciting, but we appreciate you bringing us in together today to have a chat for sure.
Oh, definitely. Thank you for including me for sure. Big Al has been nothing but nice, including me in this. He says, "Oh, you ask great questions." I'm like, okay. But I do appreciate it, guys, as well. We thank you, everybody that tuned in here tonight. Hopefully we'll get to talk to these guys again soon. Keep your eyes on Fall In. Have a great night.